I'm Sam Williams. If you don't know me, the Integrated Solutions Manager for Smith Implements. Been in this position about a year. With me today, I've got Alex Helmick. He's an Ag Service Tech out of our Rushville location. We'll go ahead and get started here.
Okay, we're going to get going on correction signal comparison. Like Sam said, there's guys all over the board with this. Some of these may look familiar to you, some of them may not, some of you may not have even heard of before. We start off with SF1. This has been available for a while. There's been guys running this. It's broadly used in tillage and just mainly anything anymore. With SF1, we're at a 6-inch pass-to-pass accuracy. And the pull-in time on SF1 is right around 10 minutes, which is quicker than some of the other ones across the board. But like I said, it is a 6-inch pass-to-pass accuracy. The delivery method is by satellite. There is no activations required after you have this going, and you don't have to. There's no yearly subscriptions to this. Coming forward to SF2. We can get within 2-inch pass-to-pass accuracy running SF2. We've got around a 90-minute pull-in time. This is also satellite delivery method. With the SF2, you'll also have to have your activation, your subscriptions. SF3 is brand new to us. A lot of guys are kind of interested in getting into this. It's not RTK, but it's a lot closer than we've ever been without being an RTK. With SF3, we got 1.2-inch pass-to-pass accuracy. Now, that's over a 9-month span that's guaranteed. After that 9-month period, it won't fall off to like 10 inches or anything. It's just, but in that 9 months, it's guaranteed to be 1.2 inches. We got a 30-minute pull-in time on that, and that's just your in-season accuracy, satellite-based, and that is with the SF3 ready activation and the subscription also. Radio RTK, there's quite a few guys running this. You have your repeatability as you do in the SF3, but the repeatability on RTK is year after year. You can be within 1 inch every year. Your main thing here that's different is, as Sam can show you on one of our receivers, you need a radio mounted on your receiver, and that's the different hardware that you're going to need for that, along with all your activations. Mobile RTK, this is something new. It's coming out. They're testing it, and so far it looks pretty promising. It's going with a cellular network and with an MTG, and that's something that we hope to be seeing in the near future in this area. Okay, here is an RTK-based coverage map. If some guys don't know if they're eligible to get RTK, if there's not a base station in their area, these are 10-mile spans here throughout the area. If anybody's interested in that, we can look into that further. Okay, we're going to kind of get into the receivers here. Back in 2000, we had the original Starfire receiver come out, and they still work today. I mean, they're still out there. Some guys are using them. We'll pass that around, let everybody get a look at that. With the Starfire, you can run SF1 or SF2. Your pull-in time is going to be around 90 minutes on SF2 with that. There is no in-season repeatability able to do with that receiver. Coming into 2005, we came out with the SF2, the ITC receiver, and we could be within 10 centimeters pass-to-pass with that. Same pull-in time as the ITC. Also, no repeatability with this. And the big difference between the original and the ITC, we had a stronger signal strength was the main difference here. Coming from the ITC, we went to the 3000 receiver. Now, this is very popular today for a lot of guys. We're able to get better signal with this. And what else we got, Sam?
What's that on 3000?
On the 3000, we got stronger signal.
You got the ability to get into the Russian satellites.
The Russian satellites here, the GLONASS. So we're doubling our satellite capability on this, keeping our signals. And then brand new, we got the Starfire 6000. This is kind of new to everybody. Kind of excited about this. This is a receiver you're going to need if you want to run the new SF3 signal. You won't need the radio that's on that one, but if you want to run SF3, you will need the Starfire 6000 receiver. It'll also connect GLONASS. Pull-in time is less than 30 minutes. Like I said, the SF3 you can get within the 1.2 inch with that, and that's new in 2016.
Could you explain the pull-in time?
Pull-in time, good question. He asked what the pull-in time was. The pull-in time is the time it takes from when you start your receiver to the time that it's 100% full accuracy. 'Cause you might start off, like, I'll go back here. When you start off, you're going to be like SF1 and then SF2 and SF3. As you get going, you got to, once the receiver finds all the satellites, it's not completely instant when you get that started. Good question. All right, with the Starfire 6000, the newest receiver, we have the ability to, we can connect to more receivers. We can connect to 3 versus 1 on the previous one. That way, if you do, like you just said, if we drop a receiver, we lose, or a satellite, if we lose signal with that receiver to one satellite, we have 2 more that it's going to jump into and pull from different ones. That way you won't lose your signal and have to come back and start all over again. We have a data logger with this for diagnostic purposes. We can log an amount of time with it and then help us out with diagnostics. The onboard USB port, this is going to be big too. On software updates, we're looking at around 20 minutes to update software on a CAN bus system, where the new 6000, if you turn it over, there's a USB port on there where we can plug straight into that, and we're going to be in the neighborhood of 5 minutes to update software versus 20. So that's a nice feature. The receiver mount, there's a new locking mount out for the 6000. You know, these aren't cheap machines, but guys can protect their investment there. Hours after shutdown. This is another thing that it comes back to if you got to start over with your pull-in time. Hours after shutdown, you can leave your receiver on. Say, for example, you're going to be out of the field for 5 hours, and then you know you're going to be right back. If you don't want to start over and do your pull-in time, hours after shutdown, you can keep that receiver on, come back, turn everything on, and you're good to go. Okay, we'll talk about the compatibility of the Starfire 6000. The shroud is the same. It's all one piece versus some of the other ones that are separated. It's all together. The deluxe shroud, the square hoop style, which would be the style that if you're running a 3000 receiver, it's the same mount on your tractor, your combine, or whatever you're running on. It's the same mount. It'll hook right up to it. The RTK radio, the antenna part that's hooked to the 6000, is identical to the one that's been on the 3000s. If you guys are running RTK radios, they'll hook straight to the 6000 without any issues. Receivers, the 2630 is compatible, the 1800 and the Gen 4 display, which is new. I don't know if anybody's running a Gen 4 display. They're getting 2 years old on some of the tractors. They're getting out there, and then they're getting ready to come out in combines. So those are all compatible with the new 6000. Here's your upgrade options on your receivers. The ITC here, as of June 1st, 2017, that's your time period you have if you want to upgrade from the ITC, and when you want to upgrade activations off of the ITC. You have until June 1st, 2017, and then that will no longer be available. Coming from the 3000.
Okay, so the June 1st, 2017, that is what the ITC, if you want to upgrade an activation for that particular receiver with that. And then the next date on there, the 2018 date, that would be transferring an activation from the receiver to a 3000 or to a 6000.
Right.
So would the ITC be obsolete?
At 2018, you can't move an activation off of it and put it on a newer generation.
But
It will still be functional.
It'll still be running and working.
It will still be functional. You just won't be able to upgrade your activation off of your ITC after that date. All right, I'll turn it over to Sam here.
Any more questions? just we can kind of buzz back through this real quick on the receiver going forward. Anybody else have anything? All right, we'll keep on trucking then.
Charge to get to SF3.
SF3. So if you have an S, do you have an SF2?
You're one now, and if you want to go to 3,
Okay.
what was charged will be?
Good question. So upgrading from SF1 to SF3. So SF3 is only available on the Starfire 6000, so you need to move there. The MSRP on that is $38.95 with that. So that's the receiver cost. And then transitioning from SF1, you would need an SF3 ready activation, which is $4,000. And then your subscription after that, depending on what length of time with that. So you can get 3 months, 9 months, a year, up to 3 years at a time. Yep. Yes. Subscription prices for SF3 will be the same as SF2. So I believe it's $650 for 3 months. That's probably our most commonly sold.
What about if your RTK go from 3,000 to 6,000?
Yeah. So with that, you need to upgrade your activations with that. So it'd be a $350 charge to move the activations from the 3,000 to the 6,000 with that. And then you'd be SF3 ready and have SF3 fallback in case an RTK base goes down or something. You lose RTK. Well, we're working on eliminating that, and as Alex kind of mentioned, with mobile RTK, that's going to be an even stronger signal to kind of get us away from some of this hardware and radios and all the weird stuff they do and lightning damage and everything.
So 350 to just transfer the data.
Correct. Yeah, and then whatever the trade difference would be in receivers with that. All right. Next topic that we're going to talk about here with technology is John Deere Harvest Mobile. So this is the iPad and the cab on your S-Series combine. It's kind of in a nutshell what we're doing here. The nice thing about this is the ability to take some of this information that's normally on your 2630 display and transition it to a second display. You're moving your yield information over here, monitoring this, freeing up the 2630 for your guidance, machine settings, buttons, making that a little bit cleaner. You're not trying to do it all through one display here. Here's kind of a screenshot of it, a little bit better than the first picture of what it kind of looks like when you're running. So over here we've got our yield information, our speed, our moisture, all those agronomic pieces that you're monitoring when you're running the combine. We've also got our machine settings are down here, being recorded with that. Kind of tying into those machine settings is a program called Interactive Combine Adjust. So that's this top button that you would drop down, and it's got several different scenarios in it. This program is also built into, I believe, model year 14 and newer combines on the small display, the armrest display with that. A lot of times it's flashing a red light. I know I get that call sometimes. How do I make this thing go away or turn it off or get through it? It's there to help you if you need it. If not, we can tell you how to get rid of it and turn it off if you're fairly comfortable running the combine. But what it does is it kind of triggers different scenarios. If you're getting cob in the grain tank or different things, you're getting dirty grain coming through, it'll walk you through some different settings changes. Maybe you need to bump your rotor speed up or change a clearance setting with that, and then it'll ask you, did it improve or worsen, and kind of steer you in the right direction. So very nice for new combine operators if they need some help with that. Also, you may or may not be aware, on 2016 S-Series combines, a year subscription to this program is included. So the only thing that the customer would need would be an iPad in the cab. iPads are pretty common nowadays, so it's a nice use for it as well with that. There's a compatibility matrix, which is kind of nice. You have the ability to, once you get kind of set up and connected with that, it's going to trigger and make sure that all the softwares are up to date. That way we're not chasing an issue with that.
You need a wireless transfer for that, correct?
No, with that. So what feeds this is the wireless data server. So that would be a controller on the combine, and that links through. You connect to a Wi-Fi network between the combine and the iPad, and then your iPad would send the data up to Operations Center, but you do not have to have wireless data transfer for that. With that, it would be running off of the iPad. So if it's a Wi-Fi iPad, when you got back home to the shop or something, or if you have a cellular plan with the iPad, you could stream that up from the field. Okay, good question. Next, kind of new technology piece that we can talk about is Machine Sync. It's been out for a little while as far as the grain cart automation. We don't have a whole lot of customers on it, but I see in the future as we keep getting bigger heads, you guys know this gap between the grain cart and the head can get pretty tight if you're running a 40 or maybe even a 45-foot draper head. So very nice for novice operators. We can get this set up. Basically, you put the combine and the grain cart on a network. They communicate with radios, back and forth, machine communication radios, MCRs. They're not really cheap, but definitely it would be a lot better investment for at least safety and peace of mind if you do have a new operator rather than worrying about them getting into that head on the combine with that. The other side of Machine Sync is coverage map and guidance line sharing. This program is new for 2016. Came out in the spring. We've got some of our ag service providers on it, running 2 sprayers at the same time. So they have the ability to trigger section control based on another machine's coverage through this. So in real time, they're working through JD Link and the MTG, so the cellular connection, to John Deere servers, sending that information up and beaming it back down to the other machine so they know where each machine's at within the field. So it's pretty neat. Allows, if a sprayer's running through a field or a combine or a planter tractor, they get half of it done, and then the other planter tractor or the other sprayer comes in to finish up the job. They know exactly what's been covered already within that field, eliminating any wasted inputs there. Next piece we're going to talk about, Alex is going to hit our video here, Operations Center. This is our online data management platform. I know some of you are up and using this. We're just going to do a quick 2-minute video, and then I'm going to talk about what's new with this for this year.
The right tool for the job is right in your pocket with the My John Deere Operations Center. It's the tool you need to easily and quickly analyze and share data. You can access it anytime, from anywhere you have an internet connection. With the Operations Center, your operations data is turned into information you can use, like reports and maps. Evaluate average yield, total yield, average moisture, seeding variety, and seeding rates by field and by variety. Then, easily share that information with your agronomist or trusted advisor. You can even compare field variables to write better prescriptions and send them wirelessly to your machines. Location history lets you monitor a machine's location and progress over a 60-day period and tells you whether it's idling, at work, or in transport. You can also monitor fuel use to know when to send fuel trucks. And with one click, you can send a prescription wirelessly to the machine, so it's ready for the next job. Real-time weather information allows you to make decisions about applications where weather conditions are critical. You can pull up radar to determine what's happening now or see a 5-day outlook for your location. The Field Analyzer can help you see how individual fields are performing. With just a few clicks, you can see a side-by-side view of average performance, current year performance, and a color-coded map showing what's changed, so you can make effective agronomic decisions. The Operations Center allows you to easily and securely collect machine and agronomic information and help you turn that data into better insights for you. Make it better. Make it yours with My John Deere Operations Center.
Alrighty, so there's kind of a quick overview from 10,000 feet of what the capabilities are with it. If you haven't been on or haven't been logged in, get with us. More than likely you have an account out there, whether you know it or not, and we can help you get logged into that and start using it. If not, they're free if you need to create an account. Definitely something we can help you out with. So some of the abilities, and what I kind of want to hit on a little bit this morning is the ability to connect with partners on the Operations Center and really partner with that trusted advisor, the agronomist, the seed corn dealer, who's going to be feeding the information to kind of make some of this data that we've got extra valuable. Not just looking at the reports, but putting it to work with that. So the idea here is we've got different levels of privacy settings for different users. So you can allow somebody to send files directly to the machine or just to the Operations Center. So maybe you don't want them beaming into the prescriptions to the machine because you don't want the operator to hit the wrong button and key up something crazy in the wrong field or something. So permissions there, permissions with remote display access. Maybe you don't do or do not want certain people being able to look at the displays while an operator's running with that. We use it quite a bit at the dealership. Definitely nice if we're trying to fix a problem over the phone. We can beam in and check out what's going on. So handy, it saves us a trip out. It saves you guys some downtime too with that. Location history, if you want to allow or not allow somebody to view that, and then kind of our field documentation data. So this will be the agronomic piece, the yield maps, the as-applied maps, the seeding maps with that as well. So those settings are housed. Kind of this bottom picture shows that, and the organization settings is where it would be. If you have any questions on this, feel free to give us a call. Myself, Joe, the IS specialist, and we kind of have an IS administrator down at the Greensburg store, Erica. We're all very familiar with how to turn these on and off, and we're here to help. We don't want you to shy away because you don't know where a certain button is within this program. So with those partnerships, here's a list of kind of everybody that we have an API with or that we can connect with wirelessly. Start linking some of these programs together. More than likely, you've heard of some of these on the list. With that, Farmers Business Network, I hear that advertised quite a bit on the radio. Another big one kind of in our area is Pioneer, the Enzirka system. With that, the nitrogen calculator and the ability to write seeding prescriptions based off a number of factors with that. Kind of another thing to mention, inside your folder, you'll see a flyer kind of with John Deere and Pioneer making a partnership with some incentive behind it. So the deal is, if you sign up for 1,000 acres of the Enzirka program, they'll help pay your JD Link subscription if you need it. Kind of the backside of that, if you are a JD Link customer, you can get some of this Enzirka and get some of those prescriptions for free. I think it's 100 acres. So we've got a couple guys from Pioneer today floating around. They're here to help. This is not a sales pitch for Pioneer, but I just want to let everybody know that more and more of these connections are happening, and we're starting to get some use out of this data with it. The ability to send this information wirelessly, it really makes it all flow. We're not waiting on the guy to get done with harvest and then give him the data and then start writing those fertilizer prescriptions. We're doing this stuff more on the fly, and it's really starting to work out nice. So here's a list. I can print this off if anybody wants to see it, or if you're curious, if you're using one of these programs or you're partnered with an agronomist that's using a program, or you want to know if we have some of the ability to make these connections, please let us know, and we can help make it happen. So what else is new with the Operations Center this year? Variety locator. Last year, we didn't have this option. We were still going back to Apex to make that variety locator file to load in the combine so we can go out and harvest. So variety locator is the setup information based off what you recorded when you planted. So which hybrid and which field on which farm, etc. with that. So like I said, this is new in Operations Center. It's within the setup builder. If you don't know where that button is, I can definitely show you over the phone or walk you through it. Not a problem. So that's new. This is furthermore getting us away from that desktop-based software and really putting it out there as best we can on the cloud and with the Operations Center. Also new for 2016, tillage maps are up there. If you've ever sent a map up of a tillage, if you've documented tillage and maybe wireless data, transfer that up. It's been blank before. You haven't been able to see anything with it. So here we've got our average speed, so you can really monitor that, see how fast that guy was running that chisel plow or that ripper through the field, and maybe make some suggestions or tone him down or speed him up a little bit if he ain't getting nothing done. So the ability to go back and see by section, maybe you want to run a little trial and see if it really matters if you can run 5 or 6 or 7 miles an hour with a tillage tool. You can use this to your advantage to see just how much you can get done with the ability to do a good job with kind of factored in also. Another tool I just want to mention is field detection within the Operations Center. So that's our circle down here at the bottom. This setting will allow the data to be put in the right field, whether the right field's selected on the display or not. So it's a tool that it's very handy to make sure we're getting the clean data in. That way we can use it, garbage in, garbage out. We're trying to prevent that as best we can. So this setting, say you selected the North 40 field, you're actually in the South 40 working. it will know that you're in the South 40, and it will send that information up to the South 40 field. So kind of doing that correction step up front versus on the back side, changing the field names and stuff. That can get to be a mess in a hurry. So what's moving all this data in and out, up and down, partnering with everybody? How's it all getting transferred? It's working through the MTG on the tractor is what we call it, the Modular Telematics Gateway. This is your cellular modem. This is what fires up JD Link. Eventually, as Alex mentioned, this is what will provide the connection for mobile RTK, different things. So we're starting to really tie some good value to the JD Link service and making sure that we're up to date on the subscriptions, as well as our hardware with this. There's just like your cell phone, if you remember, they didn't used to call it 2G, but everybody remembered a 3G, and then we went to 4G, and our cell phones got a lot faster and a lot better. Kind of the same things happening with our machines out here. So the early model year 2012 and 2013, so when we just started putting these in, they were running a 2G modem. That coverage is going to end December 31st. So AT&T is going to drop 2G coverage. They're only going to provide and support 3G with that. So there's an upgrade that we might have to do if you're running a 2012 or 2013 machine. They split the year in 13, so we need to check on some of those. Anything 14 or newer would have a 3G in it and be fully capable through 2020 with that. We are going to transition to 4G LTE modems in 2017 tractors, 2018 sprayers, and combines. So first year for the 4Gs, 2017 in tractors, and then throughout the rest of our equipment in 2018. Another way to get data up to the operations center is a device called the MDT, so mobile data transfer. This device, I'll pass it around here. What it is, it's a $300 piece of hardware that John Deere's kind of created to move information from the display to a phone to the cloud with that. We've got a video here we'll play. It explains it pretty good, and then we'll answer any questions on it.
In central Iowa, farmers are using data in new ways. We caught up with TJ Kokenauer near Maxwell, Iowa, to talk about what he's doing with the information he's gathered for his operation.
So what we do is we use everything that comes off the combine and everything that we've done in the field and make our zones according to soil types and what the yield came off and what we've done in the past for fertilizer. As we bring data off the display, it goes directly to my operations center so I can see it at night. My fertilizer guy can see it, seed guys can see it, our agronomists can see it, and we're making decisions on the go, so we're ready to roll for application time come here in about a month or so.
One of the challenges farmers face is managing data and capturing data with older equipment. For TJ Kokenauer, the answer was a new tool brought out by his supplier, John Deere, and he explains how it works.
So what we use is what's called wireless data transfer. Deere just released this year. It acts as a USB drive. I stick this in my 2630. All my data gets dumped to this. Tells me when it's ready to go. I have an app on my phone from Deere. It links to this, sends everything from this little guy right to my phone, and when it's done doing that, I can automatically just swipe my finger. It sends it right to my operations center, and it's ready to go for anybody that needs to use it.
TJ Kokenauer may be pretty far ahead of the curve, but it turns out he might not be alone. Scott Meldrum from Van Wall Equipment explains how farmers across central Iowa are putting data to work on their operations.
In central Iowa, our customers are realizing that their data is almost as important as the grain they're putting into the grain tanks of their combines, and they're wanting to have that access almost real time right at their fingertips. So the operations center, wireless data transfer, and most recently the mobile data transfer has made it so they can actually have the information on their smartphone or on their iPad in the cab of their combine, so they can be making decisions almost immediately and not have to wait postseason to make such decisions as far as marketing grain, where they're going to tile, fertilizer choices, seed choices. They can all be made from the seed of the combine and have the information right at hand and not have to wait for it to get downloaded into a computer.
TJ Kokenauer is pretty forward thinking for his operation. He's using data to make decisions in new ways and capturing that data with innovative technology. I'm Willie Vogt, and that's Tech at Work.
All right, so it's a pretty cool little gizmo. definitely, it works out nice. Did you notice what, in the video there, what series combine he was running? It was a 70 series. So that does not have JD Link. It does not have an MTG. It cannot connect with it. So this device, it's very nice for older equipment, like they said. It's also compatible with some different displays, as you can see as well. So kind of probably number 2 in our area would be the Ag Leader stuff. So the Integra and the Versa. We can use that to send information back and forth also with it. So maybe you're using that in the planer tractor. You're using Operations Center in your S-Series combine through the MTG, and you want to be able to move some of the other data up from a different display. We have that capability with it. So it's a fairly inexpensive piece of hardware. It's around $300, and that's it. There's no subscription, no other fees with that as well. All right, we're going to talk about software updates here for a minute. This was just released yesterday. I want to just hit the highlights of what I've been told it can do. We haven't had this out for any testing or anything yet, but here's kind of the notes on the Deere side of some new functionality that'll come out with this AMS software update. So this would be for the GS3s, the 2630 display, the command center, and as well as for the receivers with that. So we have the ability now, being told from Deere, to import guidance lines via USB. So with that, kind of the idea is if you can move that over without being able to run it through Apex. So you kind of skip a transition step. So it's kind of making a guidance line a shapefile. So you can pull that from one display and move it to another. If you're running 2 pieces of equipment in the field, you could both use the same guidance line. Somebody pulls in, makes an AB line or selects an AB line. The second machine pulls in, they could quickly put in a drive, select the guidance line, pull it off, and move it to another machine with that. So that's new. Could be handy as well going forward. We're going to have to do the update to run the SF3 on the Starfire 6000 display with that. So that'll be a must if we do have guys transition into the 6000 receiver. AutoTrack, there's some different things with that. With ATU wheels, we can now see that through the display, the correct voltage. I think we've had an issue with that in the past if you're running an ATU wheel with some diagnostic stuff. So not a huge deal there, probably very, very few and far between. And then the last thing, if you've ever kind of calibrated AutoTrack, or maybe you've had one of us out there riding with you trying to tune in, maybe you're tracking or you're heading with that, there's a gauge in there that kind of measures that, and they're going to put the settings right next to the gauge, I'm being told. So that's nice. Before, you've had to kind of page back and then change a setting and then go back and watch the gauge. They're going to put all that on the same page with this new software update. So that's what we think we're getting with it. Like I said, haven't been out there and done any of these yet, but we'll be doing them this fall for certain. One of the last things here as we kind of wrap up, we got about 5 minutes left. Want to talk a little bit about data policy that's in place from John Deere and from Smith Implements. Here are the 3 core principles around the John Deere data policy: value, transparency, and control. Very crucial as we keep talking about and rolling forward. We just make sure we mention this, kind of both ends of that. So we've got links here to the bottom. The John Deere is johndeere.com/trust. Pretty easy to remember. They speak about it at most of their events and hit these core principles there. We also have a data policy in place. I know you guys trade in equipment. Maybe you didn't think about clearing off that display before you gave it to the salesman and he gave you a new display, or maybe that information is going to be transferred around to some different people within the Smith Implements organization. We're pretty committed to keeping that out of the wrong guy's hands, making sure that your agronomic data stays with you and doesn't get passed on to the next guy that might be buying that used display. So just wanted to mention those things and where they're at on both the John Deere and the Smith Implements website. Last thing I kind of want to just mention, needing some help with this data stuff going forward this fall. We are running a sale. There's a flyer within the packet you got as well talking about this. So we're knocking $50 off our harvest data collection package. So this is the yield calibration basically. We're going to come out, we're going to get the combines set within 3% of a scale. So if that's a grain cart or if you're running trucks over a scale, we'll stick around and we'll calibrate. Normally it takes 4 or 5 loads to get that calibration in there. We normally have no problem getting it within 3%. Most of the time we can get it within 1 or 2 with that. So also included with this, would be the setup information on the front end and the back end. So making sure you've got that variety locator file moved into the display and making sure everything's lining up. And then on the back end, making sure that that data is coming out of the display into your data management platform, whether it be Apex or Operations Center. Other thing, kind of, we spoke about Operations Center. We do offer a training package, so this is kind of myself or Joe would come out and sit through with an afternoon with you, move any information up from Apex to the Operations Center, and then poke around and show you what each button does and how you can best use it. So a couple sales we're running today, just wanted to mention that. If you have any interest or questions with these, see me in between classes. We'll get those answered. So that's all the slides I got. We can open up for questions on any one of these topics. The receiver, Harvest Mobile, Machine Sync, Operations Center, data hardware. Anybody have anything?
That's one thing we need to make a note on. If anybody's running Tile Cloud, running RTK right now, SF3 is not compatible with that this time.
Yeah, so we do have very good pass-to-pass accuracy with SF3, and it is repeatable for 9 months, as we've talked about, but that does not factor in the vertical accuracy. That would take RTK either with a radio or down the line with cellular RTK. Good point, Alex. All righty, well, if there's nothing else, thank you guys for attending. I think we got about a 5-minute break in between classes here. The next one will start right at 10 o'clock. So we've got 9 minutes if you guys want to use the restroom or get a cup of coffee. So thanks for coming and sitting through it. I appreciate it.